Remember, Stu, when we first talked about progressivism and Woodrow Wilson, and everybody's like, why are you talking about that? And they couldn't understand, but I said it was the grand unifying theory. Once you understand where this came from and how they started and what their intention was, all you had to do is everything made sense. This is to the power of 1,000, that kind of revelation. This will open your eyes to everything and explain literally everything that is going on that just doesn't seem to make sense. And if we're not fighting the right battle, if we can't name the enemy, then we're destined to lose. And this is the World Economic Forum's plan. It's the Davos people. And it involves our corporations, our global leadership. It involves the UN, the UK, France, the Paris Treaty Accords, global warming, equity, transgender stuff, you name it. It is all part of the Great Reset. And so one of the reasons why we wrote this is there's about 50 pages of very fine print footnotes because we want you to know where can you get this information. So you never have to quote me. We put all the quotes in there from them on their own official sites. That way you can make the case to your friends. But this is a book that I think the entire world, Western world, should read because everyone is going down this in the West, and it is our final destruction. It truly is.
I'm currently reading the book, and so far I'm this far in. I got through this one here, and then this one. I got this one's red right here, and now I'm to this one.
Yeah,
and this page says also by Glenn Beck. And the reason I bring this up, I'm actually much further in the book, but the reason I bring this up is the first thing also by Glenn Beck is your last book called Arguing with Socialists. And that book was an important one. It gave a lot of the arguments against socialism, sort of the rise of the AOC branch of the Democratic Party. And I think a lot of people would say, well, the Great Reset, you're again taking on socialism, but it's not the same thing.
No, it's not. It is the, it's the Nazis, and I hate to bring them in. I'm not saying this is a Nazi movement. What I'm saying is that the Nazis had fascism, but it was based in socialism. Socialism was also communist. It was based in socialist theory, but they branched off. One was communism. The state owns everything. And then once that transition is made, the state's supposed to give everything to the people, but it never happens. When it comes to fascism, fascism is still socialism, except there are groups of people up at the top that partner with private corporations and companies. And instead of the government owning everything, it's a private public partnership. That's the kind of socialism this is. And it was really hard to understand because I think the socialists have been used a great deal by these people at the top. And when the socialists find out what this really is all about, when the people who really care about global warming and everything else realize how badly they're being played by the Davos people, it's not going to be good. It's just not going to be good. But it's not a socialist thing. It is 21st century fascism.
One of the things that I think makes this so potentially powerful and difficult to defeat is that it seems like these old movements on the left would be, basically they would say, we need to convince the American people that capitalism is bad and America is bad. And once we do that, they'll come to our way of thinking. And I think the average American will just not sign up for that. They don't believe capitalism is bad when they really think about it. They don't believe America is a bad influence on the world, so they don't see it that way. It seems like with the Great Reset, one of the cases you're making is they've given up on that. They've given up kind of on saying capitalism is bad. They're saying we'll use capitalism to try to figure out a way to get to the same ends.
Yeah, they're twisting the words. They don't mean capitalism. They're completely redefining it, but they are using some of the same language to capture people. The real problem is, Stu, it doesn't matter what the people think. This is the biggest change in global direction in the history of all mankind. And no one in the average sector has a say in it at all. They don't even know what it is. And it will change everything. I believe by 2030, the world could be starving because of this. It is going to decimate everything that you can possibly wrap your head around. They are using the tricks to make it sound less scary, like it is still capitalism, but it's not. But the most important thing to know is you have no place in this system. You are really, truly just a renter in this, and you will do as you're told. And that's very, very clear. You're not really a stakeholder.
One of the things you spend some time on is focusing on the examples they're using to try to create this, and I think goes back to the early progressive era as well, this constant state of war, right? We'll do all sorts of things. We'll break all sorts of our principles if we think there's a real threat. And, the pandemic gave a very good justification to change all of our beliefs because we were in an emergency. Climate change is another one. You hit on both of those. What is climate change kind of the long-term one once we get through the pandemic? Is that where they're going to go?
I think climate change is the long-term spending and crippling of power. I mean, they are shutting down the nuclear power plants just experimentally here, and they're reducing their power output as they get ready for this great reset in France. And it is going to make the average person's bill on power 40% higher. 40% higher. And so they are moving with global warming, but that is really just to cripple, I believe, the average person and to redistribute wealth. The thing that concerns me the most is the next shoe to fall. And the next shoe to fall, I think, is the last one, and that is a global economic meltdown. It is coming. It's only a matter of time. And when that happens, that puts all of this into play, because they're going to have to reintroduce currency. They're going to have a digital coin, whether it's the United States or not, I don't know. But it'll be a digital coin. Any time that we've ever changed our currency, back in the 1930s when we did it, the average person lost anywhere from 40 to 60% of all of their savings and everything else. If the world does not go to the United States for a world reserve currency, we could be Venezuela overnight. And that's when people will accept this 100% without even thinking, because they'll be hungry.
How does Joe Biden play into this? I mean, the subtitle of the book is Joe Biden and the Rise of the 21st Century Fascism. And Biden, the way you describe this is almost as if there are elites looking to make these changes, but they're elites above what we would normally think of as elites, right? It's not just like your congressman. It's your high level power player in any individual city. These are above those levels. How does Biden play into this?
Biden is the most powerful man in the world. That seat has always been the most powerful man in the world, the most powerful office in the world. You have to have the president and the presidency. And he foreshadowed, next week on our special, I'm going to show you, he foreshadowed all of this in his first address to Congress. And he asked the question several times, can our democracy compete now with places like China and authoritarianism? Can we compete? And the jury is still out. Those were the kinds of things he was saying. He is all in. Remember, John Kerry said when he was asked by the World Economic Forum, now that Joe Biden is getting in, are we going to see the United States move? And John Kerry said, faster than anyone could possibly imagine it's going to come. And it's going to be complete quickly.
All right. So occasionally, and I don't know if you've ever recognized this before, but some people have called you a conspiracy theorist in the past. I don't know if you've ever heard that claim or if that's something familiar to you in any way. And one of the things I think the real hurdle you need to get over when you're talking about a concept as big as this, with names that are, you got George Soros's photo on the front, Joe Biden, you have to get past the idea of motivation. It doesn't make sense for George Soros to want to ruin the world. Why would he want to do that? What is the motivation for people involved in all of this planning?
Why would Mr. Potter want to destroy Bedford Falls and make it into Pottersville? I mean, it is the oldest story. Mr. Potter gains. Everyone else's lose. But he's so convinced these poor people, what do they know? They have no jobs. They're worthless people. I'll just build them these little houses and they can rent. That is the story of the Great Reset, except it's on a global scale. It is Potter making Pottersville instead of Bedford Falls.
That's interesting. Now, is it something where they are just looking at this as enrichment, or do they see this? Is there a version of this for them that they really see this world as a better place?
I don't know, Stu. I mean, I would hate to think that everyone involved is that greedy and ugly. However, there's a sense of logic that is completely gone. There is a detachment from reality and known quantitative facts and universal principles. So I can't imagine being this stupid. However, I don't want to assign motives. I mean, the guy who was working for BlackRock, who started all of the ESG stuff for BlackRock and was really a big part of their environmental movement, he's come out, he quit BlackRock and said, this is a scam. But his intent was real. And that's going to be where the rubber meets the road. When people who are involved in it now and do have true intent, they're going to see they've built this monstrous machine, and they are going to regret it. But I don't know what the percentage is.
Well, the book goes through all of this and also solutions. How do we push back against something so big and so daunting? I will tell you this, if there's one
really
book
important.
that you should buy right now that I could highly recommend, it is Atomic Habits, but also pick up Glenn Beck's brand new book, The Great Reset. It's available now on Amazon. It's the #1 book in the country.
I don't know why I give him anything but color bars. Give him color bars from me, will you?
Check this out, though. Seriously, you're going to want to know this stuff, and it's going to become a much bigger topic. It's one of these things, Glenn's done this before, where he hits on something that is at the beginning of everybody's understanding, and then 6 months later, when we go into 2024, they're going to be talking a lot about this. Get out ahead of it. Understand it before everybody else does. Glenn, thanks so much for coming on the program. You can get the book at glensnewbook.com. Thanks, Glenn.
If you enjoyed this video, hit like and subscribe to our channel so you'll be sure to see similar videos from BlazeTV with the added bonus of signaling YouTube that your voice and opinion still matters. And if you're looking for more great conservative content, check out one of the 2 videos suggested here.